come up with her answer. Pizza. Everyone liked pizza. It was unpretentious. It was comfort food, and always made you feel better. You could have it any way you wanted, with or without pepperoni, sausage, mushrooms, onion, green peppers, or even, if you insisted, pineapple. Penelope had sent off the application without any great expectations, and for the second time in her life, you could have knocked her over with a feather when the letter came. The email, actually, if you want to split hairs, announcing that she'd won. It had seemed like a heaven-sent opportunity, the quiet of a charming English village, where she could write in peace in exchange for running a book group and a writers' group, and anything else she could think up to enhance the bottom line of the open book, and the chance to get away from everyone's expectations, her mother's, her sister's, and even her publisher's. It had crossed Penelope's mind that her decision might have looked to some as if she was running away, but she immediately dismissed the thought. She was having an adventure, and wasn't that what life was meant to be? Penelope had thought of herself as well prepared for life in an English village. She was an avid reader of British authors. She knew her Miss Marple inside and out, and she never missed an episode of The Crown or Victoria. She didn't expect to be homesick. Homesick for what? An unsatisfactory romantic relationship? Her overpriced Manhattan walk-up? There'd been objections, of course. The road was never smooth sailing as far as Penelope was concerned. Her sister, Beryl, insisted that this sabbatical, as she called it, wasn't going to get Penelope a career. Despite Penelope's publisher springing for a full-page ad in the New York Times, her sister didn't consider book writing a viable occupation. According to her, what Penelope ought to do was apply for an academic position at a prestigious university. Penelope's mother had objected too, telling Penelope that she'd never meet anyone in Britain, and even if she did, all the men there had bad teeth, and if she thought she was going to meet Prince Harry, or any prince at all, she was sadly mistaken. And as far as breaking into British society was concerned, she could forget all about that. Besides, what about her boyfriend, Miles? Miles had seemed mildly put out that she wouldn't be on hand to grace his arm at the annual Morgan Fund Investors' Dinner, but in the end, he was the only one who didn't vigorously object to Penelope's upping stakes and moving overseas. Fortunately, Penelope was used to doing things that others objected to. She'd been doing it all her life, so that didn't stop her from accepting the open book's offer. No, she was going to make a go of this opportunity, because really, she had no choice, and she could hear her grandmother's voice in her head. The Parishes aren't quitters. And thus it was that Penelope had arrived on the shores of merry old England, with her laptop and her battered suitcases, and how she now found herself driving down the wrong, in her opinion, anyway, side of the High Street in Upper Chumley-on-Stoke, 2 weeks later. Today, Chum, as Upper Chumley-on-Stoke was affectionately known to its residents, was a beehive of activity. Tomorrow was the annual Worthington Fest. Banners adorned with the Worthington crest and announcing the fest hung from every street lamp along the High Street and fluttered in the mild breeze. It was a brisk October day, but the sky was cloudless, and the sun warmed the air enough so she could get about nicely with just a light coat or a heavy sweater. Upper Chumley-on-Stoke was a charming village within commuting distance of London. It was the real deal, a well-preserved medieval town that even the bright, shiny new Tesco and the curry takeaway on the outskirts of the city couldn't spoil. The quaint cobblestoned streets were the delight of tourists, even if they were a nuisance to the residents, who found them rough going in any footwear other than thick-soled walking shoes. Buildings of brick worn over the years to a rosy hue followed a bend in the road until they petered out and gave way to a narrow road bordered by hedgerows that cut through the grassy green fields beyond and into the countryside. Penelope found the town enchanting. She felt as if she had stepped into a storybook, and even the inconveniences didn't bother her.